Joel Rubin, also author of the briefing book over on Substack. Joel, good morning to you. What's your crystal ball tell you about today? I mean, what are you expecting between Trump and Netanyahu at the White House?
Yeah, good morning, Marky. Well, certainly it's going to be a love fest. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think what we'll see is Prime Minister Netanyahu thanking the president for his support on Iran, on striking the nuclear facilities there, and the steadfast military support for Israel that the United States overall has been providing. So that's going to be on the upside. I think we'll also see President Trump probably push a little bit on the hostages and try to argue about the need for some type of calm and settlement, as Robert was describing, in Gaza, and leading that into broader regional peace agreement, something that he developed in his first term with the Abraham Accords. And so I think we'll see a lot of that as well.
Yeah. And looking just into the nitty gritty of the proposal, Hamas, is reportedly pushing for the release of an unknown number of Palestinian prisoners in exchange for 10 living and 18 dead Israeli hostages. How do the United States and Israel balance the security risks of such an exchange while trying to get these hostages freed?
Well, Marky, it's a really complex dance, isn't it? Look, on the one hand, we have a dynamic where there are about 20 living hostages still in Gaza, and that's a high priority for the Israeli people. And at the same time, the prime minister, his coalition, does not want to be seen as allowing Hamas to continue to stay inside Gaza and to get benefits, and then when Israel leaves, to be celebrating a victory. And so he has pressure inside his coalition as well. This is where President Trump comes in the United States to essentially argue that this must be done if this is where we're going to go. But I do think that the prime minister, he also has real agency now to try to expand the discussion, to try to talk about regional peace agreements, to try to talk about an end state for the Palestinian people, to give some type of political horizon that opponents of Hamas can grab onto inside of Gaza. Otherwise, we'll just be back in the dynamic that we were before October 7th of 2023.
Yeah, and Joel, also the latest 60-day ceasefire draft also lists that President Trump would guarantee that Israel would adhere to halting its military strikes. Would that be more likely to get Hamas to agree to this deal? Or, what about the dangers if Israel is constrained in being able to target Hamas during that 60-day window?
Yeah, I think Hamas would love it if Israel would just terminate its military activity and walk away right now. And I doubt that. I don't think the Israelis are interested in having a situation where Hamas regenerates itself. Look, the easiest way to get this ceasefire, of course, is for Hamas to surrender. It's been devastated. The people of Gaza have been decimated. The territory there, it really needs an entire rebuild. But what we'll likely see are some types of commitments that are enforced on Hamas, where it's supporters, where Qatar and Egypt and the guarantors of some type of ceasefire make sure that Hamas maintains the peace. But, this is the core rub of the Israeli political concerns about Hamas staying in power. The goal here is to get rid of Hamas entirely and to get these hostages out. And Hamas is using the hostages for leverage to stay in power. And that's why I think we'll likely see, if there is some type of ceasefire, still more strikes continuing to try to uproot Hamas as much as possible.
And then just lastly, before I let you go, the Iran strikes, also a big topic today. You've got U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff reportedly set to resume nuclear talks with his Iranian counterpart here in the coming days. Iran is signaling it has zero plans to give up a nuclear program. So what comes next there?
Yeah, well, Iran can assert what it wants on that. It also asserted it would not give up its enrichment program, and then it was bombed extensively. I think that the United States, we have a lot of assets. We've shown it to Iran, and we do need to lock in a deal, a nuclear agreement that guarantees this. It has verifiable mechanisms in place to guarantee they don't get the bomb, but just having those words does not mean that they're going to get it.
Yeah, busy week in Washington and around the world. Joel Rubin, thank you so much, as always, for joining me.
Marky.
Talk to you soon.